Hi, my name is Olivia Keeter, and today I'm going to be talking about Marcos Witt, who is a Hispanic Christian music artist. In this presentation, I'm going to cover a few separate topics, including the importance of Christianity on Hispanic culture and how it became such an important part of Hispanic culture. And then I'm going to introduce Marcos Witt and talk about his background, his music, his achievements, and his impact, not only on the music industry, but also on the United States and the Latin American community. So why is Christianity such an important part of Hispanic culture? Roman Catholicism is the major religion in almost every single Latin American country. The reason for this is the colonization that occurred by Spain and Portugal in the 16th century. This colonization was led most prominently by Ferdinand V and Isabella of Spain, who were known as the Catholic Kings. When these colonizers first came to Latin America, they preached to the indigenous groups. These were the Aztecs of Mexico, the Incas of Peru, and the Mayans of Guatemala and the Yucatan. Originally, these groups resisted the Christian religion and they stuck to their polytheistic beliefs. Over time, however, they converted and it became an important part of their culture. Later in the 16th century, the Jesuits, who were a religious order of the Catholic Church, began planting churches, schools, and universities throughout Latin America, as well as going on mission trips throughout Latin America. This further spread Christianity throughout Latin America, and it also infused it into the culture even more. By the 19th century, most of Latin America was independent, but Christianity remained a prominent part of the culture. Today, the Catholic Church is still the most prominent church in Latin America, but there has also been a rise of the Protestant Church. The Protestant Church is who Marcos Witt belongs to, and he uses this church to preach his music, and he also focuses more on a personal relationship with God. So Marcos Witt is a singer, pianist, pastor, and speaker. He is a Latin Grammy winner, and he is deemed one of the most influential Christian artists of his time period. He describes his music by saying, "My music carries the breath of God. Through our songs, God is hugging on people." Marcos Witt was born Jonathan Mark Witt Holder in San Antonio, Texas in 1962. His parents were missionaries, and so he moved to Durango, Mexico as a child so that his parents could plant churches in the local community. It was in Mexico that he decided to start going by Marcos, and that he also discovered his love for music. By the time that he was 17, he knew that he didn't want to have a career just in music or just in ministry, and so he decided to combine the two. In his 30s, he moved to Houston, Texas with his wife and his 4 children. It was in Houston that he started working at Lakewood Church. Previously, Lakewood Church had only had sermons in Spanish. This meant that the Latin American community there had to listen to the services through earphones dubbed over in Spanish. Witt joined the church to be the Hispanic pastor, and he's taught the services all in Spanish. In 2002, when he first started, 500 people attended each week using headphones to listen to the service. After he joined and started preaching the services in Spanish, the church community grew greatly and the Hispanic community grew greatly. When he left 10 years later, it was averaged that about 6,000 people attended the church each Sunday and listened to him speak. He was very popular because he was able to relate to all different countries in Latin America, and he knew how to relate and talk to all of these different people and communities. Throughout all of this, he also had a music career, and in his music career, he introduced a newer style of music which fused traditional praise and worship music with more of like a disco and upbeat style. He did this because he wanted to appeal to the younger generation and bring more people into church and listening to worship music and make it more fun. His music was not very popular with older pastors at first though, and they actually accused him of Satanism because of the more upbeat style of his music. In his career, he made over 30 albums, and he is a part of what's called the praise and worship ministry music, which focuses more on a personal relationship with God rather than preaching about historical factors and talking about those sorts of things in their music. I have a few examples of his songs. The first one is Se Oye en las Naciones.
Vamos, Cristo es el Señor de las naciones, Cristo es el Señor del universo, cada lengua que cada pueblo de sus rodillas declararán que Señor. Cristo, Jesucristo, Cristo, el Señor.
And then the second one is Tu nombre es Cristo.
Tu nombre es Cristo, Dios poderoso, tu nombre es digno, Rey asombroso. Tu nombre es Cristo, Dios poderoso, tu nombre es digno, Rey asombroso.
So as you can see, his music has that more upbeat disco styling, and his concerts are more interactive, they have that calm response, and they're like concerts that you would go to for a different type of genre of music, where there's like the lights, there's a band, it's more upbeat, everyone's singing along, that sort of thing. So throughout his career, he has had a number of achievements, including selling about 27 million copies of his albums worldwide. Now this number is an estimate because he normally sells his music through churches, but it proves that he is able to reach communities far and wide and of all different countries and groups of people. He's sold at arenas in Mexico City, Buenos Aires, Santiago, Sao Paulo, San Salvador, Miami, and Los Angeles. This proves that he is popular both in the United States and also in Latin America. He has won 6 Latin Grammy Awards, and he founded the first of many schools in Latin America that helped to teach the next generation of worship leaders. His career is a huge sign that someone who has a career focused solely in Christianity and in Christianity throughout his music, you can still be popular and you can still have success and fame while still focusing on God. He has also had a number of political impacts, not just in the United States, but in the Latin American community. When he first came to his services, he noticed that a bunch of people were turning away because they noticed that there was officers outside. People originally thought that these officers were immigration and custom enforcement officers, when in reality they were traffic officers. Because of this fear, though, they left because they were worried about further action being taken against them. This led to a lot of people missing out on the services and not being able to build that sort of community within the church, and so Marcos wanted to do something about it. He joined Esperanza, which is a faith-based organization in Philly that fought to reform federal immigration policy. He also began traveling to Washington to lobby. He traveled every 2 months to go lobby on Capitol Hill, and he also lobbied back in Texas. He attended the proposal of the immigration policy reform by George W. Bush in 2004. He ended up leaving politics because John Cornyn, who is a Republican from Texas, promised him on the phone that he would fight for a comprehensive immigration reform bill, but he ended up voting against it. This was a huge blow to Marcos, and so he decided to leave the political scene, but he still had a big impact on it in the time frame that he was a part of it. So in conclusion, Marcos Witt is someone who shows that you can be super popular and reach a lot of groups of people while still focusing on being Christian and having God in the center of your career. He has had huge successes and huge impacts on the United States, on the music industry, on the Latin American community, and he has fought for a lot of different reforms throughout his career. He's a very successful artist, and he continues to sing and to bring other people to God through his music. And these are my resources.